As part of the business model, we wanted pricing not to provide any friction. In fact, we wanted it to kind of lubricate the rest of how it worked. And so it was so affordable. People were like, this is just ridiculously cheap. Like, I almost want to just figure out if I can use this product because it's so affordable. And so it aided the business model. It aided expansion. And so, we had at the time like unlimited license, unlimited versions. We licensed by seat or by user or by kind of at the time, because it was on-prem, by kind of user bands. And there was like an unlimited user band that again was so affordable that even if you were considering this for 100 people, you'd be like, man, the unlimited user version is just, it's like less than, it's $3,500 or it's like $8,000. I'm just going to buy it for everybody. And what happened was it just meant that it got planted in an organization and everybody got invited into it. It was like, I've already paid for it. Like, I don't need to think about the $9 a month per user that's sort of common in SaaS now or whatever it is. It's like, nope, already bought and paid for, just like, come on in. And what happened was a big company like Boeing would have like 50 of those unlimited users license all over the place, because like a big company like Boeing is effectively a collection of, thousands of little small companies that may be interconnected or may not be. They may be kind of siloed and isolated. And so people just sort of pop it up, and it just, that pricing really was a lubricant, to kind of expand usage and adoption. It just meant that the roots got planted deeper. And then we wanted it to also be a competitive barrier to entry. And so still today, like Atlassian is like very affordable at the bottom end. It is tough to get any grip in that market, because you're like, how do I, like, what, it's free basically at the bottom, super affordable at the kind of entry point. When you get up into the enterprise level, it can become more expensive, but that's not where you're going to start and win. And so it's just it's a moat, a competitive moat. And, and then the business model, like the point you made is important, because in the global financial crisis, when things kind of sputtered out, we looked did a bunch of cohort analysis, and the customer segment that effectively was hurting the most naturally was the kind of small business or small teams. It's sort of like, teams or companies under 10, it basically just dried up. And that at the time was, I don't know, maybe 10% of our top line. And we did this like radically courageous thing. We were like, you know what? Let's just make that tier, which is like $1,000. Let's just make it free. We made it 10, and we called it a starter license. And then we donated the $10 to charity. So there was like a little bit of a marketing campaign around. We called it Causium, for cause. We're like, you spend $10 on a license, we'll donate to a room to read charity and kind of fund, girls' educations in Vietnam, things like that. But what was interesting is no one in our market could match that move because of their sales models. Like, we didn't actually have commissions to pay. We didn't have salespeople whose quotas were on the line at $1,000 products or $10,000 product. And all the companies that I mentioned that compete with us just watched us do that. And we just rode away with the market. Like, it, widened the aperture of who would consider us. Meant we were a safe harbor in kind of rough economic times for people that may not have wanted to spend $1,000, but definitely would spend 10. And, there's a bunch of things that I think we did over the years that mattered to the company that Atlassian became. That was definitely one of them. And it was like, at the time, remember, we were wiping off 10% of our top line. Like, we just put it back out into the market. We're like, you know what? We'll just erase that. And because effectively you're saying, hey, when you renew, guess what? It's now free. So we're going to wipe that off in favor of widening the aperture on who's going to consider us and just go after share. And we could only do that because of our business model.